It's officially NFL Draft Week. So, I, your host, Austin Shaddick, will be doing a one-round mock draft, which will air Thursday night, 8 p.m. In Kansas City, NFL Draft on ABC, ESPN, round 1 Thursday, rounds 2 through 3 on Friday, and then Saturday, rounds 4 through 7. It's going to be a great weekend for all the future NFL players. So without further ado, let's get started. So with the first pick in the NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers, I believe, will select Bryce Young. Bryce Young, he's a generational talent. He's kind of like a Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields or, any of those guys. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. He has everything in his arsenal except size. His size is what might determine a number 2 pick instead of a number 1, which is still great either way, but if you're a quarterback, you want to be the number 1 pick. For the Carolina Panthers, they're getting a stud. Either way, he just has to do some offseason workouts with the team and get chemistry with them. But I think Bryce Young will go number 1. With number 2 pick, the Texans will take C.J. Stroud. Both those teams are in need of a quarterback, and if it wasn't for Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud would be the number 1 pick. But C.J. Stroud is not the number 1 pick because of, let's say, his talent against U of M. U of M, he did good against U of M, but he didn't get the wins. And that's what the NFL teams are looking for, is wins. And when you don't get the wins, you don't get a high pick. Which number 2 is still high, so I don't know why he would be complaining. I mean, I don't think he's complaining, but he would have loved the number 1 pick. So with that, I think number 2 goes to C.J. Stroud. And all offseason he's been working. So that's why he's not going to drop out of the top 2. He'll go number 2. Number 3, I think the Cardinals will either trade down for some draft capital or they'll get Will Anderson. Will Anderson is a stud as well. If it wasn't for the quarterbacks, he would go number 1. But he's just not needed for the Panthers and Texans. So at number 3, Will Anderson will go number 3. Will is an elite pass rusher. Nick Saban coached him up at Bama, and that's why he will be going number 3 to a team that needs defensive help. J.J. Watt just retired, and Will Anderson will replace that spot. Generational talent on the defensive side of the ball. Number 4, the Colts. I believe they'll select Anthony Richardson. He had a great combine, great pro day, great offseason, and he will go number 4 to the Indianapolis Colts. So, because of Carson Wentz and their quarterback issues over the last few years in the draft, I believe that he will be a long-term answer at quarterback for the Colts. So at number 4, Anthony Richardson. At number 5, the Seattle Seahawks. I had to outweigh the pros and cons here, but I think Jalen Carter will go to the Seahawks. I wanted him to go to the Lions, but the only bad thing about Carter is his legal problems. Back in January, he got, I think, arrested, had some legal problems. But he's a monster on the field. Off the field, he's got some problems, but that on the field is where the fans really care. And the Seahawks need some defensive help. So did the Lions, but it's just the Seahawks got a better pick. So Seahawks take Jalen Carter. So at number 6, the Lions, that puts them in a predicament. Not really, because they have tons of picks this draft. I think the Lions will go cornerback. I think they select Devin Witherspoon. Witherspoon had a great few seasons at Illinois. Kirby Joseph already on the Lions from Illinois. I think Witherspoon fits right into Aaron Glenn's defensive scheme. Brad Holmes, he takes a chance on Witherspoon, and it works because he has a legitimate chance if he gets drafted by the Lions to receive a starting job. If not, like every third down he plays or something like that. But I think Devin Witherspoon will be a Detroit Lion. At number 7, the Raiders, they select Christian Gonzalez. These, like I said, these are where the cornerbacks start coming in. Gonzalez, he's a freak athlete, scary quarterback addition to the Las Vegas Raiders, who already have a stacked quarterback team, but they're just adding more depth, I guess you could add. And I think Christian Gonzalez, either Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon there. That's when the cornerbacks start typing in. If Witherspoon is not taken by the Lions, then Witherspoon will be a Raider. But Witherspoon is taken already. Gonzalez will be a Raider. And then at number 8, I think the Falcons, they select Tyree Wilson. This offseason in free agency, they went big. They had a lot of cap space. They got Jeff Okudah from the Lions. They got Jesse Bates from the Bengals. They got a bunch of players and a young team. So they could be scary next year. And with the addition of Tyree Wilson for the defensive end, elite guy, number 1 defensive end in the class, in the draft. So I think Tyree Wilson gets picked there by the Falcons. At number 9, the Bears could either trade down, which they already did earlier in the offseason, or I think they go Peter Skoronski, an elite offensive tackle. Justin Fields, that was his worst nemesis last year. With this addition to the team, I don't think they're a Super Bowl candidate or even a playoff candidate, but they're moving in the right direction with the Bears. Skoronski will help Justin Fields in pass protection and run protection. You name it, he's there. The number 1 offensive tackle, offensive guard off the board. At number 10, the Eagles will select mighty Jack Campbell. Captain Jack played for Iowa. Iowa's defense was stud. Was every guy on there. Hard-hitting, you name it. Characteristics of an Iowa defensive team. And Jack Campbell is the first off the board from Iowa with number 10, the Eagles. They needed a linebacker. They have Hassan Reddick at the defensive end position, but they need a linebacker because they had a few departures. At number 11, the Titans. This is where the first wide receiver goes off the board. The best wide receiver in the class. Excuse me, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Ohio State. Excuse me. I think Ohio State is a wide receiver university. With Ohio State generating different wide receivers, generational talents, like Jackson Smith-Njigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Michael Thomas, you name it. Jackson Smith-Njigba will go to the Titans. They got problems right now, the Titans. They've lost a lot of free agents. They didn't get very many. They didn't get very much draft capital, so now they have to start over and go to a rebuild. Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Jackson Smith-Njigba, that's a start. So at number 12, the Texans, back on the board, they select O'Cyrus Torrence, offensive guard. Let's be cruel. The Texans, they need help everywhere they can get. And they are already drafting C.J. Stroud. They need some offensive guard help, offensive tackle help. So O'Cyrus Torrence from Florida, he protected Anthony Richardson a lot last year, and he'll do the same for C.J. Stroud on Sundays. At number 13, the Jets select Paris Johnson Jr., an Ohio State product offensive tackle. Back-to-back offensive tackles there. With the Jets situation with Aaron Rodgers, they needed a tackle, and I believe on draft day that trade will happen. The Rodgers to the New York Jets will happen, and Paris Johnson will be drafted to the Jets, helping out Aaron Rodgers. At number 14, the Patriots, they will select Darnell Wright, another tackle. Mac Jones is a slow product, and he needs help when he takes off in the pocket. So Darnell Wright, a freakish athlete in the trenches at Tennessee. He protected Hendon Hooker a lot, besides for that ACL injury. And Darnell Wright will be back healthy, and he'll be ready to protect Mac Jones and the Bill Belichick ran offense. At number 15, the Packers will select Jordan Addison. Moving on from Aaron Rodgers, they need a wide receiver because they don't have much help. Jordan Love, the short-term answer for quarterback. Jordan Love will be their quarterback. And Jordan Addison, Christian Watson, and their freakish offensive line will be headlined in this year's Packers squad. At number 16, the Commanders, they need a quarterback. I don't know their quarterback help right now, but Will Levis should have been picked earlier, but he will finally drop to the Commanders. And he will probably be their starting quarterback on day one, week 1. At number 17, the Seahawks will select Lucas Van Ness, another Iowa defensive man that is freakish athlete on the defensive line. He's mainly used for pass rush, and in the NFC West, with all those quarterbacks, they need him. So they will take Lucas Van Ness, and he was going to be considered to be a Lion, but following that pick, the Lions pick again, and they will select Kalijah Kancey. Defensive tackle, defensive issues last year for the Lions, which is why they got off to that terrible start. I know people are saying they either want Bijan Robinson or a wide receiver with the JMO issue, but Kalijah Kancey is a dog, and he will help the interior defense run stuffing and pass protecting. At number 19, the Bucs. That was tricky. They should have got Hendon Hooker there, but I think Steve Avila, offensive tackle, will be necessary if they want to make a playoff push. So they got Steve Avila. At number 20, the Seahawks select Jalen Hyatt. Seahawks have had 3 picks in the first round, and now they're adding Jalen Hyatt to their elite wide receiver core with DK, Tyler Lockett, Geno. That's a scary team right there in the NFC West. At number 22, because 21 got forfeited, 22, the Chargers select Quentin Johnston. Amazing deep ball threat. You throw it up to him, he'll catch it either way. Justin Herbert will throw it to him, he'll catch it because he's a tall guy and he plays football. So, he's bound to catch it, and 50-50, more like 75-25, because there was no way a cornerback is taking that ball from him. At number 23, the Ravens will select Jonathan Mingo. 3 straight wide receivers. Mingo, freakish athlete from Ole Miss, had a great quarterback that threw the ball to him very well, very precisely. And Jonathan Mingo will go to the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, who will throw the ball on accuracy. At number 24, the Vikings will help their defense and select Emmanuel Forbes. That's basically what kept them from the playoffs last year, or kept them from a far run in the playoffs. They're cornerbacks, so adding cornerback help will be beneficial. 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select Myles Murphy from Clemson. Number 26, the Giants will select Joe Timperman, a center. At number 27, the Cowboys select Bijan Robinson. With the departure of Ezekiel Elliott in free agency, they need a running back, and Bijan Robinson is that guy. At number 28, the Buffalo Bills will select Drew Sanders, an inside linebacker that will help with Tremaine Edmonds and their linebacking core. 29, the Bengals will select Deonte Banks. They needed a cornerback with the departure of Eli Apple and Jesse Bates. So Deonte Banks will be that man. At number 30, the Saints will select Mozzie Smith. 31, the Eagles will select Brian Brisset. Brian Brisset is another freakish athlete on the defensive line that the Eagles lost some key departures, so they will need to add a few more. And on Thursday, that is the number 1 round there. Come back, check my video out, see what my projections were, and see how good I did or bad I did. So that's round 1. Round 2 and 3 I have not done yet. As for the NFL draft, stay ready, stay awake, and I'll see you later.